what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first episode of Big Brain Strategies, and I hope that you all are having a really great day today. We're having a real good Saturday, kicking it
All right,
back.
all right, all
And
right.
what's
Oh
up?
shit.
And so this is gonna be like a first of a first, you know. So it should be pretty darn interesting what is actually going to be going on here. So we're gonna be. Let me just get this stuff going here. Okay. So basically, uh, this is just gonna be something new that I'm gonna be doing to try to carry the channel into kind of a different direction. If anybody that might be tuning in, hello from there, from Twitch as well. We are streaming on Twitch as well right now. Um, so anybody coming in that may know, my name's Nalu. It's a pleasure to see y'all, meet y'all, and everything. On Twitch, I usually will be playing certain different games. I also do video reactions every now and then. So, definitely check some of that out and everything. But for today and what we're going to be carrying on is basically something very new. It's not going to be too much about gaming or anything like that. It's not going to be too much. Like stiff or anything. This is going to be a pretty relaxed type of stream. So we're actually going to be going ahead and doing some of those things. And so some of the we're going to be talking about some of those things that have been kind of just a little bit on the mind that I think that we all could probably talk about, think about, maybe even learn something new as well. So basically, what we're going to be doing with this channel is I'm essentially going to be talking about certain truths. We're also going to be talking about things of science, our future as well, that we can actually obtain through the if we do talk about certain concepts and trying to learn more about different things, we're going to be talking about things from space to what's here, on Earth and our oceans, whatever it is. We're also going to be doing things that would be more speculatory on, science fiction. What does a science fiction type of show actually achieve with people, and what exactly that science fiction actually can possibly give us a better idea of how to do something, or if it's just complete BS and it's not something that we're actually gonna be able to do. But it's all gonna be in good fun. But for right now, just for the purpose of this episode, I'm gonna try and make sure it's not too, it's not gonna be too crazy or anything. But we are gonna be talking a few points on some of these things. Space being one of them. A little bit about SpaceX and a little bit of the things of what this channel will be talking about in regards to things that kind of deal a little bit with space, uh, and also SpaceX. We're also be going to be talking about a little bit about scientific literacy, and yeah, if I'm going to be honest, our scientific literacy seems to be a little bit more jarring these days. Although, if you were to go ahead and try to look at some of the if you try to look at some of the surveys and everything that they do, these surveys that were typically done on the basic questions that were given to various people, uh, they should be pretty interesting, but it's not. It's not really all that it really seems to be. We're not really as smart as the surveys are trying to put us at, but we are going to be talking about some of those things. So right now we're actually going to be just explain a little bit more on the sci-fi part about it and stuff. So basically, there are, as you guys probably know and everything, there are certain games, shows, anime, whatever you may be into that will explore different concepts or ideas about science and everything, where they specifically start talking about like, oh, gravitation of the earth and everything like that is supposed to be I don't know, like say it was messed up by some calamity in a show or something like that, and they just dive a little deeper into stuff like that, and which would be fun to just like kind of speculate on and not necessarily say whether or not it's true, but to just see how probable or possible that it could be, and whether or not it would be an interesting thing to actually have. So like I guess a good example that I could probably give to that as well would be there's a show out there called The Expanse. Um, and I gotta say, The Expanse probably looks like one of the most uh, probable cases that would be in our future that we can actually explore. Like, because basically, for those of you who don't know, within that show, The Expanse, it actually talks about and shows how humans have spread out from Earth and Mars and also into the asteroid belt as well. And it's just essentially just something quick where the people in the asteroid belt will often have problems with Earth and Mars. And this is something that can actually be a probable future as well that we should be wary of, because what happens within that show is that water is scarce, and this is a real thing that is, even within our own solar system, water is fairly scarce outside of Earth. So if you were to travel long distances, you would require a lot more water. And mining or whatever within the show was dealt in the asteroid belt. These mines and the people that would take their ships to go and break up asteroids would typically try to get water from them to, sell off to the other planets. And I mean, this is something that we could get to, although what I did understand a little bit is that asteroids aren't really like all a bunch of congealed water and everything like that. From what I understand, and from what I did listen to a little bit, Neil deGrasse Tyson talks a little bit about this, where essentially they're like, if you guys ever seen a sponge, and a sponge is actually has like many different holes and everything that basically goes through it. Asteroids are more so like sponges. They don't have like they're not some big consistent thing. They're actually quite hollow, apparently. Uh this again, this is coming off of memory from something that Neil deGrasse Tyson said once, where basically they don't have the same type of structure that we envision that it would have. And this is basically where it goes into understanding things like scientific literacy. So, scientific literacy, we could probably see, on a piece of paper and everything. Like if they were to give you a test and they asked you, where does the crust sit on the Earth? You know that the crust is basically the top layer of the Earth. Questions like that are going to be easy. However, can any of us truly explain something like plate tectonics? Not necessarily. So that's actually how like scientific literacy kind of boils down a little bit, and where it starts to break apart for us here in America. Now it starts to become a problem because something that you will notice, whether it's on social media or if you were to talk to somebody, outside, you will notice that there has been cases of people coming out, and this is kind of a weird thing that's happening, but there are people coming out who don't fully believe that the earth is round. And that's a problem. That is a problem because we have not only disproven that the Earth was round long before spaceflight was even conceived, we've been up there to our own moon and have sent many different many different probes and everything like that out into space that have not only looked back at our planet, that have also looked at the other planets of our solar system. And if the other planets of our solar system are round, then I'm sorry, people, you got to let go of the flat Earth thing. Just let it go, because we're not going to be able to move forward in our scientific thinking with a few minority of people who are trying to be loud about whether or not something is or isn't true, and it already has been disproven many times over. It creates a problem. So scientific literacy is something that's very big. So what we're actually going to be seeing here is I got an article here for us to kind of look at, right? And this article comes from Forbes. This article is actually about America's big scientific literacy mistake is making a comeback to haunt us. Like we have to be very careful with this. You know, we have to be very careful with these kind of things, because if we start believing in the wrong things, or we start doing research without proper experimentation and peer reviews, we will start to get results that are inconclusive, or they just simply are wrong. And we have to be careful with certain things like that as well. So basically, this article is and this article is from Ethan Siegel, senior contributor who starts with a bang contributor group. This was done in September 9th, 2021 as well. So this says, in this day and age, it's virtually impossible to have sufficient expertise to figure out what the complete, comprehensive, scientifically validated truth surrounding any issue is, unless you yourself have spent many years studying, researching, and actively participating in furthering the scientific endeavor in a particular field. You can be certain with an incredibly high degree of confidence that your non-expertise will fundamentally limit the depth and breadth of your understanding. Now, this is something very big, okay? Going back a little bit to what I was talking about earlier with asteroids. I'm not an astrophysicist, okay? Let's just be straight up about, what this stuff really is and everything. I'm not an astrophysicist, I'm not an expert or anything. I'm just a guy who basically thinks that there are certain things that we can talk about, as far as science goes, that would be interesting. Now, if I can possibly get more information and everything like that, I would definitely love, for more to come out, for someone to actually tell me, hey, you know what, asteroids are a little bit more like this. Perfectly fine, because the purpose of science and the scientific method is that you want to have a multitude of different perspectives and different people that will come in and do the research and experiment, and then give out a proper cohesive conclusion. To which, this is something that I already has done. I myself just haven't, I myself just haven't fully committed it to memory yet. I'm not a trained scientist. I'm not an astrophysicist or anything like that. I would love to talk to an astrophysicist that would tell me some of these things. But for the sake of this, just know that a lot of the things that will be said are typically going to be surface level. And then we'll also dive deeper into different subjects for the channel and, dig up more information. But just for the purpose of the opening and everything, this is just a little bit of what to expect and what we got going on right now. So let's go ahead and continue a little bit. And I'll try not to go through the whole article necessarily, but, we'll definitely try. We'll try something here. Oh, okay. It looks like Twitch is kind of being weird here. So, okay, yeah, Twitch is kind of being weird. Let me see here. Because that also is. Do that. Let's see here. Oh, that is loud. That scared the crud out of me. Okay. All right. So basically, back to the article. I'm not gonna go through the full article. We're gonna kind of skim through some things, and probably skip a few things, but we're gonna try and talk about as much of it as we possibly can. Okay. So, so here we go. We have this persistent myth that there's that the excuse me. We have this persistent myth that's been a part of a society for a very long time. That if you just do your own research, figuring out what you're capable of learning from reading and listening to other sources, you'll be just as capable of the experts at distinguishing truths from falsehoods. This is the actual falsehood. You can never actually be just as knowledgeable as someone who is an expert within something. You can always have an educated guess, but you know, it's not always going to be the correct guess. That's just what it is. So, an expert is usually going to be better than your own idea of, whether or not something is. Now, we can speculate and, everything like that. And if we were to follow the scientific method, we can go ahead and try to see if, what someone says or does or what something happens is true or not. But if you only do just the surface part of it, then it doesn't necessarily make the claim true. So we have to be very careful of how we try to deliver our claims and everything. This says that if you just learn enough of the relevant facts and apply your logic, intuition, and critical reasoning skills to any problem you encounter, you'll be as scientifically literate as anyone, empowering you to make expert level decisions as routinely as experts themselves. No. Please, people, we have this is something that I've noticed that's been going on in America that we kind of have to stop doing. I do this even myself sometimes, and I have been, reeling back to make sure that I don't do, I don't, give out false information. And if someone was to come to me with information that is, that actually is sound and solid information that also has been peer reviewed and everything, and it's wide across the board and accepted idea, I have nothing to actually say about it or anything. What I said would be wrong, that person would be right because they brought up the actual research, the actual stuff that comes up. You can't just go and search Google and be like, oh, what am I supposed to do for my health and everything, right? Say you have a cold or a cough. You go and you Google a cold and a cough, it could tell you a million different things. But if you were to go to a doctor, they're going to tell you exactly what it is. So you want to be sure that you always have an expert when, especially if it's something serious, have an expert tell you, okay, what is going on. This fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be scientifically literate and the accompanying, even if unintentional, devaluation of actual expertise is in large part why so many of us mistrust and misunderstand science today. We can correct our course, but only if we understand what it actually means to be scientifically literate. I full on agree what they are talking about here because you can hear it, you can see it everywhere. Twitter, you know, Facebook, Instagram, your day to day, whatever the case is. People, especially here in the West and in America, people are growing more and more like they're growing more and more resistant to facts. And it's weird. Like they resist facts. Like it if science has already gone through the steps and everything, the scientific method, whatever the idea is, if it's already gone through those steps and it's been proven not just by us or by one person, but it gets proven by another person in another country in another state or whatever the case is, arguing against that just seems so trivial because there's already so many things that's already been in place, whether or not that whether or not that this idea is true. Now, let me be clear here, okay? Let me be very, very clear here. Science in no way is stable, okay? It is in no way a stable, concrete, one answer thing. It's not. It's just not. And like as much as I do like the idea of like there are truths that we find that come out of science and everything, we also have to take under the idea that science isn't a stable thing in itself. Because there is someone that's gonna be on the other side that'll come in and be like, wait. I have more information about this. This could probably change the perspective, or it might make it turn into something entirely different. Einstein was disproven by other people. Einstein disproved a few people before him, and the people before Einstein disproved the people before them. Okay? Science is something that is constantly growing, constantly moving, constantly evolving alongside us. And it's something that we have to embrace enough and start to understand a little bit more so that we can move and think about things in our day-to-day lives that, could possibly help or possibly further us to the future that we all fantasize about in like science fiction, shows and movies and everything like that. A lot of us grew up watching things like Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek and all this other stuff and going on, but the want behind that, and then us basically devaluing expert expert level advice about scientific fact is dangerous because we'll never actually get there. The experts are the ones that knows whether or not something can go in. What we could do, we can bring up the ideas, whether or not something might be right, whether or not something might be wrong, whether or not this is even possible to jump light speed and everything all the way across the universe. We don't know, but the experts do because they've done the math, they've done the research, they've done the observation, they've done the experiments, everything. So do trust in the experts, people. Trust in your experts. Oh my goodness, like that is probably like the biggest thing that we have such a huge problem on. We don't trust the experts enough, okay? And that's a big thing. Now, you don't have to be an expert to be able to start understanding a little bit about science or to get into it, into the STEAM fields or whatever it is. You don't have to, which will bring us on over a little bit. Let me go down a little bit here because you don't have to be the one that knows. You can have other people, you know, you can have other people come and tell you whether or not something is right or wrong. And then if you still feel like that isn't correct, do your research, conduct an experiment after you find a hypothesis, Draw up the conclusions when that is consistent and solid, and then have someone review it. Don't just say like, "Oh, I'm right," but have someone else come in and be like, "Oh yeah, you know what? This sounds sound." That's just the way that it works. So, the common definition of science literacy is that for most people, they use a simple proxy, measuring the science literacy the same way they would use one for language, which is basically what they're going to be saying. How much of these questions can you answer? Can you pass this test and everything? A lot of people can pass the test and memorize facts and stuff like that and then just write it down. But actually, fully understanding things is entirely different. Like stuff like this, the law of gravitation. What? How many of us really know about how gravity works? Can't really tell you that I know everything. All I know is if an apple falling from a tree is part of gravity. That's the biggest part. Like that's the simplest thing that I could probably give about that. But because again, I'm not an expert to fully go into everything about gravity. I know probably a little bit more than just the apple falling on a tree, but I don't know much more than that. You know, again, experts are the ones that will tell you about these things. So, law of gravitation is one of these things. Biological evolution, that's actually a good one. That's actually a good one because there have been many kind of where today is rejects biology here in the West. And it's been kind of weird because biology is something that's part of us. We are, as part of our biology as humans, we are mammals, right? We are mammals. We, do things like a mammal. We breathe with actual lungs and everything like that. We don't have gills. We're outside of the water. Some mammals can walk on two legs. Some mammals can walk on four legs. Us as humans, we technically could do both. Like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the kid or if you were that weird kid that was running on all fours. That's a thing and everything like that. But yes, humans as mammals have very distinct features that is within our biology that makes us humans, and mammals and so on and so forth. So to discredit whether or not, biology is true is absurd because it's not something that we can just get rid of. It's is us. Like, we can't get rid of biology because biology is us. It's about us. It's about every working part within us from, the macro level down to the cellular level. It is everything of us. So that's a great one. The geological layers of the Earth. I had mentioned earlier about the Earth's crust. A lot of us could probably answer, that one pretty quickly. Where is the Earth's crust? Well, the Earth's crust kind of sits on top of the mantle, where the mantle sits on top of, core and such and everything, right? Although I don't think I got that fully in the way that it was ordered. But yeah, so but we understand small parts, and as you can see, like again, scientific literacy. I could tell you that the crust sits on top of the mantle and is the the outer layer of the Earth. I can't tell you too much more after that. And that's why we have to understand these things and what this channel is basically going to be directed as. We're going to be learning these things together, which will be we can make that actually pretty good, pretty fun and everything, But we just have to understand and keep in mind that we're not going to be 100% right. Just how it is. So, moving on here, they also have germ theory of disease. This is one that a lot of us do typically understand up to the point of things like vaccines. Uh, we understand pretty much about how germs can make people, can do things, make people sick or dirty, whatever the case is, and everything. We know about the germ theory of disease. Germs are going to get you sick. You cough, they spread out. every different thing like that. However, we don't know the whole basis of this. Some of us may not even know, much farther than that of what I just said. We probably only know so much to it, and this is why we've had such a problem in the past couple of years about vaccines and why there is a anti-vaxxer, you know, whole coalition or weirdness that's going on. But I'm not gonna get into the anti-vaxxers because that could be a whole other topic for another time. Planetary motion, and this deals with things like flat Earth and all of that because flat Earth is such a horrible, absurd idea. Jesus, it's such a horrible idea because we all know that the Earth is round. People, you know that it's round. Why are you all playing around? You know it's round. Come on now, and you know that the sun is in the center of our solar system, and all the planets move around it and orbit it. Okay. And then also we have moons that orbit our planets and so on and so forth. So we can't play around like we're just ignorant of things that have been proven true. Plus, how are we going to say things like, oh, you know what, the moon landing was a hoax? How are we going to say the moon landing is a hoax and that we never went up there and we have people on the ISS ever since we put the ISS up there? Like, we've had people up there consistently in space living, you know? If our rockets can get up to the ISS, we can build a better rocket, even back then, that built the ISS in order to get all the way to the moon. So I don't understand what people are trying to get at with that, because we definitely have been to space. We definitely have gone to moon. And how are we going to discredit what America has done when in Russia they have done a multitude of these other things too? Like, what? Russia has a space program. China has a space program. Europe has a space. Like, the UK has a space program. Why are we over here trying to say that, oh, we've never been there? And there are so many things that are out today that clearly say, states, and can show you that, yes, we've been there and we can get there. There are people, the people that went there are still alive. Lance Armstrong is not, he's alive. This man is alive. He's a living testimony. That's not a conspiracy. Like, no one is going to go to space and just lie to the government. Like, lie for the government and everything like that. Like, majority of scientists have that, like, they have that integrity in them where they're like, I am going up there, even if they're not a scientist. If you're someone that's just like, like they were adamant about wanting to go to space and they didn't mind going to the moon and everything like that. They're not going to come back and be like, I never did anything or seen anything. Like, they're not going to come back and be like, oh yeah, you know what, it was a hoax, but I got paid from it and everything like that. They were going to get paid regardless because they went. Just so you know, by the way, they were going to get paid regardless because they went. They went there and everything because they felt that humanity should go into the stars. Humanity needs to become better. Humanity should be, as Elon Musk famously coins it, multiplanetary. Because if we're not multiplanetary, we're going to always stay here. We're never going to reach the heights of, sci-fi and everything that we've all seen. Our ideas about wanting flying cars, the reason why we don't have flying cars until pretty much and we haven't started working on them until like recently. The reason for that is because no one was really going out of their way to try to make a flying car. We didn't even know the technology that we could use to make a flying car like that. So like what we're using today to try and make flying cars is basically the same type of system that you would use if you were to make a drone, which I think is okay for the way that Earth's atmosphere is, but I would hope eventually we could push through with something that won't have to deal with huge propellers that could possibly chop somebody off when you land. So, anyways, we're gonna kind of move past a little bit of that part right there. Okay, here we go. So, why the definition fails us every time? For starters, we're not actually doing science when we're making decisions or choices. We're taking a shortcut. We're using our current conception of the world and how it works, a conception that's riddled with flaws, holes, and other blind spots, and basing our evaluation on scientific literacy on the ability to recall certain facts. Facts that were most likely learned by rote. I gotta know what that word means. And you see, this is what they mean. Rote, mechanical or habitual repetition, or excuse me, repetition, however you want to say it, of something to be learned. A lot of us have not been, you know, doing that to try to learn something and everything, especially if it was just a quick fact that we needed real quick to try to speak about a certain subject. We're not going to fully learn what it is. We're just going to kind of skim through and get the part that we're trying to use to uh, basically state our claim, and then we'll forget about it after that. We do have to stop doing that as a whole because it hurts ourselves and the society as a whole when we don't try to get all the facts. I could speak about a few things going on right now in America where if we had all the facts and everybody would just listen to those facts, I guarantee you there'd be a lot less people that would want to you know, cap for unnecessary reasons. I'm just not going to go into all of that. That's going to be something different on like a health episode or something like that. But yeah, there's a lot more. So yeah, we have to do better. Beyond that, that says even if we were to go away and perform the relevant experiments or acquire the relevant observations for ourselves, most of us would be woefully ill equipped to draw the proper conclusions from the raw data. Most of us have no idea how to properly calibrate or control those experiments, account for systematic uncertainties, follow the appropriate set of procedures for responsibly acquiring that data, or place those results in the context of all other pieces of information that are relevant to the question we're investigating within this particular field. We're not sciencing properly. And this is the day-to-day person. This is the average person and everything. We are not science. We're not doing our scientific you know methods properly. We're not even following the procedure properly. We're not even using the right instruments or anything properly. Like we have to do these things properly typically in order for us to understand, you know, hey, you know what, that plant looks really dead. Why is that? It didn't get any water. Well, why did it not get any water? Well, certain things go on. Like we don't know a lot of this. And it takes a lot for us to actually come back, admit that we're wrong, and then go back and say, okay, let's make an adjustment so that I can find the right answer. it's, it's unfortunate. So, a little bit of raspy in my nose, in my voice. I got a little bit of raspy in my voice. No. So, we're gonna move on from here from the article, and we're gonna be talking about SpaceX a little bit here. Specifically, we're gonna talk about the Starship and going multiplanetary, right? So, oh man, okay, look, humans have been here on Earth for several billion years. Okay. And I know that sounds crazy, but we've been here for several billion years. Or million, or you know what? Several, let me see here. Let's look it up. See? We're learning together. How long has humanity been here? They say that the first Homo sapiens, which would be modern humans, okay, actual modern humans, anatomically modern humans, arose alongside our other hominid relatives approximately 300,000 years ago. So it doesn't actually sound that long ago, but this would be there's a very key thing to this, and this is where understanding like different things actually come from. Okay, 300,000 years ago is the first Homo sapiens, but there is actually a lot longer list of different humans types that have actually been around for a long period of time. You know, humans before modern humans, the way that we look now and everything, we supposedly were much hairier. You know, so 300,000 years ago is when the first Homo sapiens, the modern humans, actually came about. And this is something that would be found out through, and this is coming from Forbes. You can see, University Today is saying we've only evolved about 200 years ago. You know, how long have humans been on Earth? Nineplanets.org is saying the 6 million years humans have been on Earth has allowed them to evolve, build tools, and create. Listen, and this is just from the quick little things that you can actually see. How do we know which one of these is actually going to be telling us the full truth? Well, when you do multiple research and multiple areas, you will start to get the truth. Truth is, modern Homo sapiens started appearing approximately 300,000 years ago. Okay? That's the actual approximate. There were a lot of things that are found back during that day, such as tools, equipment, different plaques or something like that, early pieces of possible writing, and so on and so forth. So Homo sapiens have been here for a very long time, even before we even were able to actually read and write, which would be the turning point of our actual big evolution intelligence, where we can start recorded history. What it says here down for nineplanets.org is what I have often heard as well. And you will actually hear more scientists, again, shout out to Neil deGrasse Tyson at Star Talk. You'll hear more scientists, astrophysicists, and other experts, historians and such, that will tell us that humans have been here for a long period of time. 6 million years, holy crud, that's a lot. That is a lot. 6 million years. We've been here for millions of years. Humans, just actual humans and everything like that. Not just us, modern Homo sapiens, but humans. We've been here for a long time. Very long time. And that's what we have to understand. Look for multiple sources, people, if you're going to state a claim about something, because you're not always going to have the full guise of what, is said. You might just have only a part of it. I guarantee you that them talking about the 6 million years over here, It's still only a part about it. Let's go to World Atlas. Okay, humans and their ancestors have been walking the planet for about 6 million years. Homo sapiens, who are the modern form of humans, evolved 300,000 years ago from Homo erectus. Human civilization started forming around 6,000 years ago. To which if so, this is my thing though. For the 6,000 years ago part, for human civilizations, I would probably argue a little bit. I would probably argue at least 10,000 years. Okay. Starting with the Mesopotamians, and the early Israelites and everybody like that. There were the early humans that were around that essentially their civilizations no longer are. So we have to actually keep things like that in mind. So this 6,000 years could possibly be more. It could possibly be more because there are recorded pieces of history that are actually, dating back a little bit more, farther than 6,000 years than that. So it's really interesting. The Homo species, between 1 and 2.5 million years ago, the Homo species appeared in Africa and began spreading throughout the world. From Northeast Africa, the species moved to China, then to Australia, Europe, the Americas, and finally Polynesia. Bro, people have been around for a long period of time and we've migrated all across here. Okay? We've done a lot. Our evolution is here. Like it's evident. It's evident in the fact that I'm being able to sit here and speak to a bunch of people with a device that captures my voice, right? And goes straight into a machine that is connected to a vast network that's more or less just in the air. It's crazy. It's almost magic. Yeah, so humans, for as long as we've been here, right? We've only recently gone to the moon. And we're recently beginning to go back. If you check this out and everything, this is on SpaceX, SpaceX.com on their website. And so this is the thing, right? Only 24 humans have been to the moon, and no one has been back since 1972. Okay, this is a part of SpaceX's Starship announcement and everything, where they were basically trying to speak about what it would be like and what Starship is going to do when it lands astronauts, and basically their goal for landing astronauts on the moon. And I got to tell you guys, stopping moon landings from all the way since 1972, that's like what, only a few years that we've had the program in the first place. We can't do that. Like it's dude, it's 50 years later and we still haven't been back to the moon. Our technology has gotten way better too, and we still have not been back. We haven't even done like full big upgrades or additions to our ISS. Honestly, I think that NASA should be doing actual additions instead of trying to like discontinue the ISS. If they're going to discontinue the ISS, okay, sure. Oh, sure, fine, whatever. Discontinue the ISS. We no longer have it and everything. Build another facility, one that would be better. Don't just discontinue it and then be like, okay, you know what? That's it. We're done. We don't want to deal with the ISS no more. No. Either add additions to the ISS and make it run longer. Actual parts that would be, these additions basically would be like bigger quarters. That's an actual crew quarters or something, or like they hold a certain type of, a bigger, more special lab and everything, because they have a lot of really great stuff that's actually up there. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying like, oh, you know what, these guys have like a bunch of old stuff and everything. They don't. They don't have a bunch of old equipment. They don't have a bunch of old food or anything. Shoot, the food that they eat up there today and everything is not food in the tube anymore. I know a lot of us probably still think that, but it's not really food in the tube anymore. It's actually like real packet stuff that's just been kind of dehydrated, and then they rehydrate it back up into space. You know, and that's how they are able to eat and keep the food preserved for a very long time. So they're not using old stuff anymore. But there are certain the ISS itself is pretty old, and it could use more compartments to it, more parts to it, where it would be able to not only stay there longer, but if it was expanded, it could hold more people as well. But I mean, it is what it is. So this is the thing, right? They want to. Elon wants to make humans multiplanetary. If we make humans multiplanetary, if we make them multiplanetary, I think Twitch kind of cut out again there. I might have to cut Twitch in a bit as well if it's going to keep acting up like that. But let me get back to this. So, if we make humans multiplanetary, we will actually be able to not only survive any kind of calamity that could come to Earth, humans would still be alive, be well, and everything like that. We'll still be able to do whatever. But we'll also be able to expand into the cosmos a lot better. We'll be able to start developing better technologies. We'll be able to start developing jobs as well. We can develop all whole facilities and civilizations outside of Earth. Earth has a lot of different countries and everything as it is, right? But if we go up in space and we go to Mars, it becomes just that one country that's there. That's pretty much it. And whoever is the one that oversees it is eventually, and I'm not gonna hold you guys like it. There's no way that we're gonna go up there and everything like that, and then they're not gonna become a country. But the person that basically will run that will eventually need help and all kinds of stuff and everything. There will be jobs created for people to basically just run a hauling service. Like they have one ship, they go between Earth and Mars to bring supplies, and they get paid for it. That's a crazy thing to think about, right? But that is a job that can be created right there. For instance, let's say Elon decided that I don't want to build this starship here on Earth. I'm gonna build it up while it's in space. He could create a lot of jobs doing so. I can imagine him doing something like, I'm gonna go ahead and make a little construction facility, right? If he sends up if he sends up parts for people to be able to, sleep in and stuff like that first, so that they can basically build a crew quarters of a sort first, then they can start building more and more places and pieces that'll be on top of this. If they, start finding out a way about how to send, full scaffoldings and stuff like that for people to actually latch onto, and so they don't float away and everything like that. Because it would take a lot. Don't get me wrong; it would definitely take a lot for them to probably, establish a new station. But if we don't do it, we're limiting ourselves as humans. And I find that to be a problem because we can't limit ourselves within space when it's so vast. Why would we limit ourselves to just here on this one planet, and there's billions and gajillions and trillions and of planets that's out there and everything like that we could potentially land on and live at? It doesn't sound very great to me if we were to just stay here for an eternity. This is something that I kind of find that there are people that are quite comfortable with the idea of humans never leaving Earth. And I gotta say that that would be a waste, you know? Oh yeah, Twitch has been messing up. Twitch is being weird today. Okay. If this does it again, guys, if Twitch cuts out again, just come on over to YouTube where we are streaming it as well, and it should everything should level out just like that. But yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. This is the first stream, but yeah, so this is something that we all got to be wary of, especially when we start talking about it and when kids start thinking about space, or whether or not technology is something that they should get into, whatever the case is. We have to feed that, because staying here means that all of us go. And if all of us go, that's just a waste of an intelligent life form that is within a amazing vastness of space already. Like, it's huge and it's vast and everything like that. And the likelihood of us actually coming out to end up finding more and more people, oh my gosh, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. So yeah, we gotta be careful, y'all. We can't go out and try to get rid of or discredit the experts. Because if we discredit experts, then we discredit our own information sometimes. Because let's say you discredited someone that, let's say you want to be like, oh, Pluto's a moon, or Pluto's a full planet and everything like that. All right. It and trust me, he would hate this thing. He would probably hate that too. But I'm pretty sure Neil deGrasse Tyson would sit there and be telling everyone like, "Hey, you kind of need to get over it, because Pluto just does not classify as a planet itself and everything like that. We have to let that go. He's the expert. He is the expert. We need to listen to him about what goes on in space. Why? Because he knows so much about space. And for the parts that he doesn't know, he'll surely go and get somebody else who is an expert that does know. So trust in the experts, trust in the scientists. Okay. It's the best thing that we can possibly give. And when it comes to things like SpaceX, trust in also, I would say, trust in the people who are genuinely trying to get us up there. Trust in the idea that Elon pretty much has, for making us multiplanetary. Trust in that idea, because it's the only idea that's going to actually get us off of the planet and into the stars and into all of the scientific things. My cat is pushing stuff over. Trying to get comfortable, silly. But it's basically, it's going to become a specific type of because when it comes to people who have the money and the power to basically be able to get us into space and everything, they they can we could try to say they're in it for the money. Oh, they're not trying to do that. They just want to get the money in. They're not really trying to do anything like that. Well, that's just simply not true and everything like that. Like, so they genuinely want to do things. Elon Musk wants to make humans multiplanetary. Freaking Jeff Bezos wants to get industry off of Earth. These are sound and amazing ideas. Because let's think about it, right? Humans go and become multiplanetary. We can start creating new inventions, new jobs, and everything like that. Create more ways for people to live. Jeff Bezos goes, he takes industry off of Earth. We start saving the Earth from there. Pretty, pretty, pretty well too. Because if we took industry off, that means we can get the smoke and smog and everything off out of the atmosphere. We could get several different things. We can stop fracking. We don't have to if we can go and mine materials and everything. If we found a place out in the asteroid belt, and we find materials in the asteroid belt that we can actually mine, this is a very big concept that is being explored right now. If we can mine the asteroids for everything, we could stop, you know, pretty much messing up our planet and mining our planet in order for us to actually live on here, make things and stuff like that. If we can do all that, we can also start building spaceships in space from right there. We don't have to constantly come back to Earth in order to build everything. If we have ships up in space that we can use to travel as interplanetary vehicles, rather than having one shuttle and rocket that basically does all of it, because I think that it's an easier way, because it's two different systems. One system, one system that basically requires to get you off, which is basically the first stage of a rocket. The first stage of your rocket is meant to get you off the planet, and the capsule and second stage and everything is meant to get you further away. The capsule is basically where all the good stuff is, like where the people are, where a satellite might sit, where somebody's phone charger might be. It would be different things like that. But like, shoot, we have to keep in mind that they're different systems, though. The kind of rockets that are used for a first stage rocket is not the same. It's not the same engine that is used for a rocket or whatever that's already out in space. They have two different types that actually get used. So when you have one that's out there in the vacuum, you need a different type of rocket. Well, not necessarily a different type, but you need to design it differently so that it can be used in space. And when they do this, typically it's more exposed than the first stage of the rocket. It's typically gonna have like maybe a bigger nozzle or something like that, And this is things that, and I'll say, going back a little bit to scientific literacy, not everybody really knows this, but it's being done in front of us every day and everything. So it's something that we probably should start understanding, rather than kind of just like showing it off like, what, it's just some quick nerdy stuff or whatever that somebody's doing. Okay, none of that really is going to do much, but it can do much. It can do a whole lot for us, and we have to be careful of trying to discredit that. We can't discredit someone like Elon or Jeff Bezos and everything for trying to get us up there. Yeah, sure, Bezos didn't really get his rocket all the way up necessarily. He got it to the legal limit of what we would consider spaces. But if he can get out of orbit completely and start building stuff up there, that will help a lot. Now, going into a little bit of the politics with that and everything, Bezos trying to going after Elon, and more people trying to go after him these days. It's kind of weird. And yeah, Elon did buy Twitter. So what? He bought Twitter. Okay, if I had the money, I probably would have bought Twitter. But he isn't the person that created it and everything like that. So of course, there's going to be a lot of mistakes. Where like him firing everybody was a huge mistake. Because he didn't necessarily know. But, he also admitted to those mistakes and everything. You can find those in his tweets. So we got to be careful of trying to discredit these people, because they actually can help us in the long run. Oof. Oh yeah, OBS be tripping. Oh yeah. But, we have been going on. Where are we at here? Okay. Okay. So look, essentially, right? He has the starship. That's basically what one looks like. Starship is going to be a rocket that can take humans up. The only big thing that I think, because I've seen a lot of these videos. I've seen when I believe it was Starship 10 when it completed its first actual landing, and it may have been somewhat hard, but it completed the landing and it showed that we can have a reusable rocket, and I think that Elon's on the right track with this. Okay, we need reusable rocket, we need reusable everything, so that when we go up to space and everything, we don't have to worry too much about whether or not that there's going to be a problem with fuel, or if you come into Mars and everything like that, and you can't park because you don't know if you have enough fuel, or you don't know how to flip your rocket so that you can slow down or anything. Because yes, you will keep going when you're in space. You'll just keep going, and you have to slow the ship down. Like they have to have the knowledge about all these things beforehand, and they have to know whether or not it's going to be able to land safely. Because if they send people to Mars, they have to kind of be there to be able to build the stuff. We could keep sending robots, but these robots are costing millions of dollars to pretty much not do enough. They do a lot as far as scientific discovery and everything like that, but they don't do enough for human advancement uh within great strides. We're not making great strides with this. We're making teeny tiny steps, but we could probably make greater strides the more that we send people up there. So that's basically what I'm getting to. Like, we all have to become multiplanetary. We all got to become multiplanetary people. So, with that being said and everything, like, let's just kind of go back. Well, oh, but yeah, this is it's we've got to stay here because this is our home. Earth is our home, right? This is kind of like just the last little bit of it. Earth is our home. We have to stay here. We got to live here. We should protect it. But we shouldn't be as foolish as to believe that we could never be evicted off of Earth. Like Earth can like Earth right now is like, okay, humans are doing a little too much. I may have to start like doing stuff in order for me to just survive. Like the Earth needs to survive, and it will, you know, go ahead and get on us, and you know, start hurting our ecosystems that we created, because our ecosystems are messing with the entire, you know, ecosystem of the planet. We got we got to do better, people. We got to do better. We've got to learn better, and we got to listen to experts, because they're going to be the ones that are going to get us to the future. But with that being said, everybody, it's your boy Nalu. This has been Big Brain Strategies. I thank you all for coming in to actually sit here, listen, and kind of learn a bit more as well about America's state for our science, because I didn't go too much into it, because it does boil down even more as into like it boils down by race and ethnicity and everything like that as well. So and by the way, things like scientific literacy get even worse when you break it down by race. It gets even worse and scarier. So yeah, there's gonna be more on SpaceX. What things can be happening. What could come out of it. We're gonna be having some more videos that'll probably be on things like welding as well. So stay tuned for stuff like that. We're gonna be trying to do more content for people to actually come in and see that will actually help them, because what we want to learn and want to achieve here at Big Brain Strategies is to kind of educate while having a little bit of a fun speculating, while not just ourselves but other things and